A manhunt is underway for suspects involved in an apparent assassination attempt on Venezuela's president. Video captured the terrifying scene over the weekend. A drone strapped with explosives appeared to target President Nicolas Maduro during a military parade on Saturday. 6 people have been arrested. Maduro has been accused of undermining democracy and violating human rights in Venezuela. The country's tanking economy has also triggered a massive refugee crisis. For more on this now, we want to bring in Rachelle Krygier. She's a contributing correspondent for The Washington Post, and she's joining me now on the phone from Caracas, Venezuela. So, Rachelle, let's start with this alleged assassination attempt. What's the latest on the investigation? 6 people have been arrested. Do we have any idea who's behind this?
So, according to the government, 6 people have been detained, and they've labeled them as terrorists. And they said that one of them participated in a wave of protests that took place in 2013 when the government imprisoned many opposition leaders. And one other was part of a group that led an attack on the Supreme Court last year, of which many people in that group have been detained too. But, you know, there's not that much information on who these 6 people are or whether they belong to a certain group. There's a group on Twitter that has about 90,000 followers who attributed the assassination attempt to themselves. But it's still not even clear if this was an assassination attempt or if it was staged or if it was an accident.
Yeah, I understand that there some are at least raising questions about whether or not it was a legitimate assassination attempt. But, you know, President Maduro came out almost immediately and started to lay blame on Colombia, on the U.S. Why did he do that?
So there's a history of Maduro blaming foreign countries for even the country's economic crisis and even the refugee crisis and everything that's happening in Venezuela. It's common for Maduro to blame other countries, especially when their governments lean to the right. There's been a fight between Santos and Maduro, especially since migrants started to leave en masse to Colombia, and Maduro has even denied that. So it's not surprising that he placed blame on Santos right away. On the U.S., he actually placed blame on ultra-rightist people living in Miami, and he didn't blame the government of the U.S. directly. He said that he hopes that Trump would be willing to target these people who are leading an assassination attempt against him from Miami. But these are not surprising things for this leader, and even his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, placed a lot of blame on the U.S. and calling it a Yankee empire for the country's woes.
This was a military parade, and in some of the conversations that we've been having over the past few months about what's happening in Venezuela, it appeared as if the military was sort of staying out of the conflict. Do we know where the military stands now?
So there's a lot of talk about where the military stands, and many experts call it a black box. There's a lot of surveillance, and it's hard to know what exactly is happening inside of it, but experts say that there's a lot of dissent. A lot of people within the military don't agree with the path the government has taken, where the country is in a deepening crisis and hyperinflation is about to reach 1,000,000%, and even this middle rank and low rank military people are not getting wages that are enough to even buy food. So there's a lot of dissent within the military, according to experts, but experts also say that they don't have enough strength and force to actually lead some sort of revolution within the military. I mean, there's a lot of surveillance, there's a lot of threats happening within the military that haven't permitted the lower and middle ranks to rebel, although we know that although experts know and people with military ties know that there's a lot of dissent. I mean, top ranking military leaders are believed to be involved in government drug trafficking and other crimes committed by the government, according to critics. So it's hard to see them leading any sort of revolution against it when it can affect them.
Right. So, how are Venezuelans reacting to this attack? I'm curious what, is being talked about on the radio, and the news, and what you're seeing in the streets.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of confusion. There was even more confusion yesterday morning, but some evidence came out yesterday. A lot of people were talking about a gas leak in a nearby apartment because there were two explosions. There's one drone that exploded nearer to the stage, and the other apparently exploded in a nearby apartment. But before that was known and shown in videos and through witnesses, it was believed that there had been a gas leak. So evidence that wasn't the case came out yesterday and sort of calmed some confusions, but people are still, alarmed. There's a lot of people who just think this was staged and that it would simply lead to more persecutions against the opposition. And, there's a lot of talk about how this could lead to greater military purges and persecution against dissent in general. So there's a lot of not only confusion, but people are nervous about what this may bring and how the government may take advantage of it.
Rachelle Krygier, thank you so much for joining us from Caracas and bringing us up to speed.
Thank you for having me.